Welcome back to No Offense Sports. Today we have a very special episode. We're here to talk about the Stop the Violence game between Ramsay High School and Parker High School. And today I have joining me a state championship winning coach from Ramsay High School, Coach Ronnie Jackson, the game coordinator, Melissa Bailey, also a member of Moms Demand Action, and Alabama State Senator Roger Smitherman, who sponsored critical legislation to help reduce gun violence. But before we start tonight, I definitely want to send out my condolences to Parker High School and that Parker community. So let's dive into the impact, the energy, and the purpose behind the game. So, Coach, the first thing I want to ask you is, how important is this game?
I think this game is very important, especially for the city of Birmingham. We see our kids see a lot of things that's going on in Birmingham, and they want to find a way to reach back and reach out to the younger kids to let them know that despite what's going on, we're going to do everything that we can to kind of prevent some things. So our guys are excited, and we're pumped up.
I want to ask you too, being that you're a leader of young men, and a lot of times young men, um, they they're a part of. I won't say a part of, but they're usually like the victims of violence or they commit violence. So how do you talk to your players about conflict resolution, regulating their emotions and the impact of violence in the community?
Yeah, I think football is closely related to life. We're constantly teaching our kids how to deal when things don't go well, how they respond. And so we teach that every day. But a lot of times we got to go out and reach out to those resources around here. We have police officers talking to our kids. We have a lot of people who are the type of people who basically have the experience to talk about conflict resolution.
Miss Bailey, I want to ask you, what inspired you to organize this game? What was the spark?
Not me. So it was actually Coach Jackson and his players that started it. So they had a great season, and he said, "Look, you've got an audience, you've got a platform. What do you want to do with that?" And they said, "We see this problem in our community, and we want to make a difference." And so that's sort of where the idea was born. Not at all from me, but from Coach Jackson and his players. And that's sort of the thing that has inspired me more than anything else. The idea that these are the people in the community that are dealing with things that see and they want to make a difference. They recognize that something needs to change, and if it's going to change, it's going to change through them. And so they said, what can we do? And so we started working together, and this is our third year now. And we have a lot of community organizations that come in and do just exactly what Coach said, the idea that they're not alone, that there's people out there that have resources, and we're trying to show them that we're supporting them so that they're emboldened to make a change.
And can you talk to me a little bit more about Moms Demand Action, especially for people who may not know about it?
Sure. So it's Moms Demand Action, but we like to say that we're made up of mothers and others. So we are a grassroots organization that has a lot of different programs nationally to work towards reducing gun violence. So making sure that we have common sense gun laws, that we are working in the community for violence interruption, and that we're working with the youth in our community to give them the tools that they need to end the cycle of violence.
Senator, you sponsored SB 116 and SB 31. Can you talk to us about why you felt it was time to take action to sponsor that bill?
Well, the primary thing that brought us full circle was the situation that happened on the south side, where all those people were shot because of the God switch. And my thinking was simply this: we've got to first make sure that innocent people are not shot. A lot of those people that were shot, they had nothing to do with the confrontation that those individuals had. And we got to protect everybody in general, but people who are just sitting there innocently going in somewhere or out in society, they shouldn't be subject to the fears that they're going to get killed because two other people have a confrontation. And when manufacturers make guns, they test guns, and they test the velocity and the kick, and they measure it and make sure that it meets that. But when you alter those guns, they're not equipped to take that. Those guns going to go all kind of ways because of the force on it. And so anytime you do that, you're going to put a tremendous number of people in danger. And so that was one of the motivators. The other thing is simply being around young people and listening to them, as coach does on a daily basis. I'm not around as much as he is, but I'm one of the coaches at Ramsay, coach boys basketball. So I'm in the high schools, and I hear them and I see the situation. And we as adults have to step up to the plate and to help guide them. Many of our young people, they do the best I think they can for what they know. But we have a responsibility to step up and to show them and to teach them and present to them the way that they should do and the consequences that if you don't do that. And that's one of the things that we did with that bill, to say that if you go out there and innocently, well, you shoot anybody, but if you won't hurt people innocently, then there's a severe price to pay. It's to get people to think about what they're doing and understand that there are consequences for things that you do.
I want to open up this question to everybody, and you can take turns. But what do you think is the root of violence we're seeing among youth today, and how can we work together to prevent it?
That's one of those questions that's so big you kind of fumble because you're not sure where to start. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's one root, but for me, one of the things that I see, and it's something that we saw yesterday, it's something that we see regularly, is the easy access to guns. If you and I get into an argument, and we're sitting here having an argument, well, it's easy for us to turn around and walk away after we exhaust that argument. But if I've got a gun in my pocket, if I've got the ability to have a gun on me at all times, if I can just lean over and grab a gun and in the heat of the moment end the argument that way, and that feels like the best response to that, in the heat of the moment, well, I've just changed my life and his life and the lives of everybody that are around me at that moment. So if we take away the easy access, I think it'll make a big difference in the number of violent crimes that we're seeing.
That's a loaded question also. But just being around kids my entire life, teaching PE from kindergarten through 5th grade, I see the kids in the very early ages, and I know there are a lack of fathers. And I'm not going to say that's one of the biggest things, but kids need balance. And I think a lot of times coaches, that's what we try to fill in, because a lot of kids don't have those dads at home. And so mom's is doing everything they can. And so now that little kid is growing up by himself, and we're looking to see what can we do to help change that trajectory. A lot of my players, when they get to me, they can't respond because they're not used to a man's voice. And so when we stay and talk to them and preach to them about what we expect from them, they get it. And so that's my biggest thing, man. I want my guys, when they leave my program, to be stand-up men that's going to take care of their families and lead. So that's my biggest thing, man. So that's what I see.
One of the times change, situations change. And now we have a situation now where the legislature passed laws that made it easy for people to get guns and to have those guns. That opened up a whole new world of the approach that we have to take to deal with the issues that we're here talking now, especially with our young people. In the past, you were working and trying to keep guns out of their hands. Now, as you all said, that they have easy access to guns. So now at this point, because that's the situation, let me just say this. I just left a fair where our DA was, Danny Carter. And I asked him, I said, if I could say one thing for you on this podcast, what would you want me to say? And this is what he said. He said that, and we were involved with the coaching our Saturday with what I'm getting ready to say at our Fatfield Civic Center. He said that it's imperative that all of us, coaches, adults, people like me who elect people, everything, it's important to us to get young people to understand that there's consequences for what you do. There's even just as many consequences for who you are with, such as you're trying to catch a ride home. They tell you that they're going to stop by this particular store on their way home. You sit in the car. They go in there and rob the place. You going to be charged with robbery sitting in that car as an accomplice. It's not going to help you to say, well, I didn't have nothing to do with it. If you with them, you're going to be charged. That's the consequences that our young people don't understand. And we have to teach them. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting on them. I'm just saying we have to teach them. The police stop you. There's no sense in out there arguing with the police. They're in charge once that stop happens. Now, if you don't like something they said, it have what's called internal affairs. You lay charges against them with the police department. Or that's what the judge and the courts are for, to address those issues you have there. But you're not going to win out there trying to argue with them, and they're in authority. And you sure not going to win if you're going to try to react in a very violent way when you're out there. See, when I was growing up, it was one thing that I tell a lot of young people now, we didn't have as many problems like that. We didn't. And you know why? Because our folks taught us one thing. When you leave the house, how to get back home. See, it's a process to get back home. When you come in contact, you may come in contact with any of those things. But it's a process to get back home. I know a young man that's in Nashville, Tennessee. My son stays there. And he played football, coach. And went into a Starbucks, and there was more young people in there. They get to argue. One of the young people, because they were not going to fight this guy. He was a lineman. They were not going to feel a good fighting. So what they do? They reached into their pocket and shot him and killed him. He headed to college to play football. So you have to tell young people, there's no sense out there arguing with these people. Ain't no sense in their pride getting in the way that I got to show them that I'm this, that, and other. They sitting on there with a gun. You may not think they got one, but they got one. See, and there's other ways that you can deal with that. You know, my dad used to tell me, I'm going to tell you these last two things, I'm going to let you get to your next question. My dad used to tell me, when you go out, if you see a crowd and you see them cutting up and some things might happen, he said, leave. He said, and when your friends rub you, talk about, man, you're running or whatever, said, no, I'm not running. I'm just adhering to the military theory. And they said, what that? That's called strategic withdrawal. That's what it's called, you know. And another thing my dad used to say, when I said, teach you how to get back home, he said, remember when you were in that situation, it's best to say, you know, like somebody running and leaving things. He said, best to say, yon you go, then there you lay. Okay? And that's the point I'm saying. We got to teach kids that. It's more important to get back home than it is out there bugging with somebody just for the sake because you around other people and you want to impress them. You know, that's the key thing that we have to be able to teach our people, our young people, is how to deal with conflict resolution, how to control your own self. You may have to control them, but you can control your own self. Even if you get ready to say something. My mom used to tell me, count to 10 backwards slowly before you open your mouth. And you won't say it the way that you would have said it. So, yes, we've got to teach these young people how to do that. And the last quick thing is this, is that even many of the problems is social media, because we are asking a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, or a 16-year-old to be able to interpret what somebody is sending them on social media. Coach, you could say that Smitherman said, you're a bad man. Now, If I ain't got the ability to interpret that, I don't think he's talking about me. Because he said I'm bad. But when he really said, I'm good. You know, when somebody, you bad, man. You know, that's what somebody said. But these kids don't know how to interpret the difference. So now you got a beef going on. Because somebody said I was bad. You see what I mean? So we've got to teach them that. And teach them to have more interaction with each other personally than just sitting up there with words and you don't really know what the words really mean.
Just to kind of piggyback off what you said, for one, I didn't know about internal affairs, but I used to work at the water company during the summer in high school, and we had this counselor who would always say to us, your actions have consequences. And he will also say that bad company corrupts good morals.
That's right.
And he talks about how sometimes you wouldn't be doing certain things if you weren't around certain people, and that stuck with me today. And I'm 26 years old, and I want to ask y'all again, this question's for everybody. So, how do we make sure this game isn't just a one-day conversation and that it continues and that it's ongoing?
I can start with that one. I know it happened a couple of years ago when we first started, and so I was talking to our guys about like once we get started, okay, are we actually making a difference? And so we did come up with an extra plan because I was telling them like, what else can we do? And they said, listen, we have to start reaching our elementary kids, our middle school kids. So with that getting started, we have devised the plan to reach out, go to the elementary schools, have our kids go to different schools, and we're talking to all the young kids just about conflict resolution. They're superstars compared to, that they're looking up to them. And so you are the heroes to them. So if you can go down there, show them that, listen, you can get here by making great choices. If you're trying to get to wherever you're trying to go, we can help you. So we're doing that, and we're also reaching out to all the other Birmingham City schools to do the exact same thing, man. We have to do more to affect change.
So, I mean, he said it, they're superstars, and then he kind of stopped next to me. Like, when the Ramsay football team goes into an elementary school and says, hey, here's some things that you can do to keep yourself and your family safe with guns, that's going to make a much bigger impact than me going in there and saying it. So the fact that they're involved and that they've bought into it, okay? We've gotten the football team to buy into it. We've got the coaching staff to buy into it. Now we're getting the school to buy into it. So this year we've expanded it, and we are, you've had some media interviews with some of the other students that have been affected by gun violence in their personal lives. We're working with the art department. So the art club, the after-school art club, is working on designing a banner that we're going to be able to distribute to the other Birmingham City schools that they can have at their games that highlight the importance of coming together to end gun violence. So just making sure that people don't just come to the game with their head down and go straight in and don't really look. We want them to look. We want them to see. The players, when they come in, they're not going to be coming in just by themselves. They're coming in carrying flags. The flags that they carry are white flags with a name printed on it, and every single name is somebody that has been lost to gun violence in the city of Birmingham. Those are things that happen all year long, and different community organizations coming together to make sure that they have the access because they've got the crowds. So now we want for the spectators to come. We want them to see it, and we want them to buy into it. So that's the hope.
Well, you can look around the corner, and ain't nobody coming to save us. We got to save ourselves. That's the bottom line, and that's our responsibility. And no sense in pointing the blame game about this, that, and the other. We have to save ourselves. And we have to do just what they are saying. We have to go into those schools, and we have to share the right information for them and let them understand and see visuals of certain situations, such as let them see the fact that if you ride more than 2 deep in your car, you finna be stopped by the police. 4 y'all in there, you finna get stopped. They need to know that. They need to know that. Okay? It's the same thing with hoodies. It's all right if you outside and it's cold, you at the football game or something, it's cold. But when you walk into one of them buildings, or you walk into some business, or you walk into something, you got your hoodie on, the first thing you gonna hear you gonna see security walking over there looking, following, doing stuff. You know, I took my son when he was in college and demonstrated to him, even with me, and I was the center. We went into a particular drugstore several years ago. We were dressed up at home. I told we were gonna put on jogging suits. I put on a black jogging suit, had on my hat cocked to the side, had on Ray-Bans. I had some Ray-Bans right over there, Ray-Bans. And then he went in, had his jogging suit on. That little, and I'm letting them know that little ding, ding, ding you hear, that tells security to watch you. That's when you walk in the store and hear that ding, 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 that means that they watching you at that point. We went around to a place. I said, look over my right shoulder, tell what you see, 2 rows down. I see somebody following us. I said, yeah. Okay, we went on in, bought what we want. We went to church, came back in our suits and decked out with our ties. Ain't no ding ding. First thing they say, hey, Senator, how you doing? This the same senator walk in there that they ding ding. They say, how you doing? Just fine, whatever. No ding ding. So I'm trying to tell them that that's important on your appearance. It's important that you know these 2 things. See, certain things can be prevented. And that's what we trying to get in there and get them at younger age, what they're talking about, that they understand that this is the safer and the best path to take. You know, once they understand that. And a lot of them just not getting the information. They're just not getting it. They're not seeing people who could share that with them and who can have a positive impact. They're just not seeing enough of them. So I just challenge everybody who can and have the time to go out and volunteer. Volunteer with these young people. Spend time with them. Be a role model for them so that they can relate to those role models and not role models that will take them down the wrong path.
Right, you see it, you can be it. Coach Jackson, my last question for you is, what can we expect to see from your team at the game?
You're going to expect to see Ramsay football. Each year, we try to strive to do better. Last year, we fell short. Shout out to Parker also. I know there's been a little Ramsay beef back and forth with Parker, but shout out to Coach Frank. We couldn't get the state championship back here to Birmingham, but he certainly did. Parker alumni showed up, showed out, and it was good for our city. And so we've been preaching that for so long about keeping our kids here in the city, and we can still do the exact same thing. We can still be great here. But what you can see from our team is we're going to play physical football. We got some young guys who I'm looking forward to see them next Thursday, and they're ready to go. So I'm excited.
Looking forward to watching the game. I just want to thank each of y'all for coming out tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule. If you're watching or listening, be sure to go support Ramsay and Parker High School on August 21st, right?
Yes.
What time? Hey, if you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram at NoOffenseSports_.